Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Gavinski's Tutorials. Today I'm going to take a look at Mozaic by Bram Bos. So this is available for iPad and iPhone. This is one of the most useful apps you can have if you use Midi. And I mean, who doesn't use Midi? Even if you don't use Midi sequencers or whatever, you're still likely going to be using Midi from controllers or, even from an internal keyboard or whatever. This at the moment is reduced to $2. That is really crazy. This is just so useful. But I mean, even at the regular price of $5, it's honestly an absolute bargain. And the thing is, I think a lot of people stay away from Mosaic because they think that, you need to learn to code or something. Because basically Mosaic is a coding language for making little MIDI plugins. But you don't need to learn to code. Like, I don't know the first thing about coding, and I'm not really interested in learning to code, but I love using Mosaic. So in this video, I'm going to look at how you make use of Mosaic if you don't know how to code. How do you get other people's scripts and put them into Mosaic? I'm going to take a look at just a few scripts that I have found useful. Now, there are so many more. This is just scratching the surface, really scratching the surface. And I'm going to look at how you would set those up, right? So here, all the MIDI here is coming from Mosaic. So let me just take off these two little effects I've got on that. So I'll leave on the reverb actually. So that's just Cascade there. Did a video on this, beautiful reverb. So here we have Spelldoza by Clave Grand, also absolutely love that. So if we look at Spelldoza, you can see I'm routing Mosaic into that, and I'm routing this particular instance of Mosaic. So that is this one here. I'm using this to change the velocity of the incoming notes. Basically, I want to make them lower velocity so it's more mellow. I'm also using this skip knob here to reduce the number of MIDI notes coming in. And this is processing other MIDI coming into it from other Mosaic scripts, right? So first, we'll come back to this one later. I'm going to look at a fairly simple example. So first of all, what can you do with Mosaic? I mean, you can use it to do those kind of things that I was saying just now, like change velocity, for example, of incoming notes, or gate those notes, stop some of those MIDI notes coming in, stuff like that. The script here, Ranbo, I think this is by a guy from the Loopy Pro forum called Wim. That's actually not his real name, by the way. His name's Mike. He's an incredibly helpful guy over there on the Loopy Pro forum. Loopy Pro forum is a great place if you don't know how to code and you want to get help with Mosaic. For example, if here I'm just searching in the Loopy Pro forum using its internal search, which uses DuckDuckGo. If we look here, you have a very useful thread in there called request new Mosaic scripts here. So if you have something that you want to be able to do using Mosaic, or you want to know if it's possible, you just go there and ask nicely if someone would like to help you make this Mosaic script, because you have people there, they enjoy coding and they are happy, it depends of course, to maybe actually make a script for you, and then they'll probably upload it to this place here, Patch Storage. So Patch Storage, another incredibly important resource for Mosaic. And all these scripts here I downloaded from Patch Storage, everything that I'm using. So let's come back here and let's look at this Mosaic here. So what I got here, Moto Akami, did a video on this. Going into TFX Echo, this is a beautiful, very clean delay plugin. I did a video on this absolutely years ago in the early days of my channel. It's super nice. Listen how clean it is. So basically here, this this instance of Moto Akame is being sent MIDI by this Mosaic script here. So if we go to patch storage, and if you go to patch storage and you just search Mosaic, you'll find, okay, look, 371 different scripts that people are sharing there. So you can view these in various ways. Sort by. So if you sort by the number of downloads, that's a pretty good way to see what is popular. Choose that and press go. Now my internet in this room is not very good, so let's see. Okay, so we can see here basically what's popular. You could also search by likes and so on. So this script here is a script called Turing, I think, by the guy who did that Burns Audio, what is that called again? That app that he did. It was a very useful free app. Yeah, the Spectrum, Resonator, and Modal stuff based on some mutable instruments things. So he also did this Mosaic script, and this is based on the Turing machine Eurorack module. So this basically here is a sequencer, and if you find the page for it on Mosaic, you have all the instructions over there. If you tap on that button just now, right here, code, you can see the code for that. Now, the Mosaic programming language, if you're interested in learning that, you'll find the full manual for that over on Bram Bos's site, rousemacher.com. You can go in, you can change that code if you know what you're doing, and then press upload. Let's just go back, tap show GUI. So here, the shift button is often very useful in these Mosaic scripts here. Shift toggles between a couple of views. So one is for setting bits. That's just something basically that will affect the pitch of the notes that this sequence generates. If you tap again here, you're setting the gates. That is more setting which steps in the sequence will be able to actually make sound or send out MIDI notes. And then here you have some settings for the speed of the sequence, note length, and other things. If we press on Shift again, we have settings for the probability. This is more to do with the probability of it's something to do with the way the pitch has changed. You can read about it on patch storage. I'm not going to go into individual scripts in detail. You can set things like the range of the notes it's sending out, and you can set things like the scale, right? It's a really, really cool little script that. So the way I'm routing it here, I'm not routing that directly into this. Instead, what I'm doing is I'm routing this instance of Mosaic into another instance of Mosaic. Okay, we can see if I click up here on this routing matrix, you can see it looks a bit complicated if you're not familiar with those things, but it's not really complicated. To route this instance into this, I just click here, go to MIDI inputs, and then click on Mosaic, and I click here, this. So this just means that I'm going to receive MIDI now from this one here, MOZ, right? Or it's the second channel. That's what this first 2 means, and this 2 here means the second node in the second channel. So of course I'm using AUM here. How you set this up will depend on what host you're using, right? Now, so what is this second instance doing? So this second instance is using a script by another very helpful guy over there on the Audiobus forum, especially anything related to MIDI. And he's called either Key or Kai, I don't know. I'm not sure how he pronounces it. So what this does, Chance Octaver, transposes a percentage of input notes by 2 selectable octave shifts. So basically, here you set the likelihood of different pitch shifts. So here I've set it that for the MIDI notes that come into this instance of Mosaic, there's a 37% chance that they'll be shifted up 1 octave. There's a 15% chance they'll be shifted up 2 octaves. In this particular script, you're able to shift things up 1 octave or 2 octaves, and you also can shift them down 1 or 2 octaves. Of course, you could also use a few instances of this if you wanted. So this is just really nice to bring in a little bit of variation. Now, you can also set it if you want so that everything gets shifted up. For example, I've set this script up that there's a 100% chance that any notes received will be shifted up 2 octaves. And I'm sending this over here to trigger this instance of Streichfett, which I also just made a video on. So you'll hear if I bring this down, now everything's going to shift down. That's down 2 octaves, which in the case of this sounds very low. Down 1 octave, nah. So there it is, up 1 octave, and now up 2 octaves. And so of course I could set it so that there's a kind of roughly 50-50 chance. 50% chance roughly it'll go up 2 octaves, 50% chance it'll go up 1 octave. There we go, now it's exactly 50-50. Now, this next one is really cool. I mean, there are so many scripts there. Let's just take a quick look, just so you get an idea of the variety. Okay, look, 8-stage MIDI step sequencer inspired by the IntelliGel Metropolis. Cordial, MIDI chord generator based on the chord Eurorack module, blah, blah, blah. If I click on this, we'll open up more information about it, but I'm not going to bother doing that. Look, strummer, set a strumming pattern using the knobs. That sounds interesting. Like, I've only checked out really, I mean, I've maybe downloaded about, I don't know, maybe 20 or 30 scripts from here. Some of them I use very regularly, like this Rainbow one by Wim. It's just so useful. Others have been very, very useful for little single projects, and I've never had to go back to them again. And then some others I just haven't had the time to go into. Mosaic is just a huge rabbit hole. If you want, especially with this being like $2 at the moment, I mean, it's such a good deal. But if you want to get an app, and just have an app that you could just go down that rabbit hole and you could spend the next few months just playing around with this and not spend another penny. This would be one of those apps. It's great. Look at this. Gauss 8-track. I wanted to create a multi-track tape style looping patch in AUM, blah, blah, blah. Another thing here related to Mononoke, Bram's drone app, and so on and so on. This is just some ones with XY pad. Okay, I was wondering why that was coming up with a weird selection. So let me clear the search box and press go again. Okay, so here now we're sorted by the most downloaded scripts. So the chordulator, that's what we're just going to look at in a minute. And strangely, although this is the most downloaded script, I hadn't downloaded it until just now, and it's really good. Another mutating sequence generator. Look here, simple scaler, set root note and scale, quantize any of your incoming MIDI. So a lot of these things are things that, people are unnecessarily, in many cases, paying money to buy paid single apps that do these things when they could be done in Mosaic. So there's a huge amount of stuff there, huge amount of stuff. My internet is very bad in this place where I am at the moment. So it's a bit slow to load. There we go. Look, note probability. Okay, based on Art Kern's excellent and free MIDI filter, PG, probability gate effect. I use Artkern's MIDI gates all the time. It's a beautiful app. Okay, so let's go back here. So what we got here, let's look at the routing. So this is receiving from Mosaic Rainbow, the last Mosaic patch in here. And if you don't know how to use AUM, I got a whole, I think it's half an hour or 40 minutes long video on almost everything you need to know about AUM. It's one of the most popular videos on my channel. I don't know, 70,000 views or something maybe now. Okay. So that's getting from, this is getting from this Cordula, this one, right? And let's click here to see what Cordula is getting its MIDI from. So Cordula is getting its MIDI from this chance thing here. If I wanted, I could change it to this one. Set slightly differently, but let me just leave it here for now. And so let's see what this chance thing's getting its MIDI from. It's getting it from this first thing, right? The Turing machine sequencer. So let's see what is going on in Cordulator. So here, first of all, I've set a root note and a scale that will be used. So there I changed to minor harmonic. Okay, so we've got a bunch of different scales in there. Beautiful. Here we set our chord type. So just a triad or various extensions. Add a 7th or a 9th or 11th or 13th. Here I've got it set to chord only, but look, we can bring in a bass note. It's really nice actually. And we can bring in a bass down 2 octaves as well if we want. Let me hear what that's like run through GRFX. Just a bit of granular processing. Very nice. But let's leave that off for now, not to confuse things. Okay, Cordulator again. So I'm going to just leave in the bass down 1 octave. No follow. This is not described as far as I could see in the description of the app over there on patch storage. Follow bass. Follow high. I don't know. Maybe something about inversions, because I think inversions were mentioned there, but I don't see anything about it. It mentioned a mode button. I'm guessing this is the mode button, so maybe it's about inversions. Haven't spent enough time with it to figure it out. So look here, strum. So you see I've taken strum down here. So now we're just getting pure chords. And I don't like that as much. So I'm bringing up the strum value, and now we're getting like a kind of strumming effect. And if we want, we can do a little bit of other things like randomizing the time of the strums a little bit. We can randomize velocity. We can set the probability. I think this is setting the probability of whether a chord will actually be triggered or not. Let's see, yeah. So you hear now those are all chords. Every time a note is received, there's a 100% chance it will create a chord. Is it that though? I don't know, because this also sounds like... At least there are definitely chords some of the time, even though it's pulled all the way down to 0. Don't know. Maybe it's explained there in the store description. You can set what channel you're sending the notes out on and the bass and so on. For example, you could send the notes out on channel 1 and send the bass out on channel 2 and route things so that it's going to a different instrument. You can also bypass the effect there, so you hear, you know, that's the sound of the input. So, I mean, see how much this is adding? It's beautiful, isn't it? So, let's look at what you do when you download something from patch storage. So basically, let's say I want, whatever, let's just take in, I'm not actually going to do anything with it anyway. Let's say I want this script. So look, by the way, there's donate options here as well. So press download, then here, save it. Save it, okay, save to files, fine. Now, open in will come up. Come here, you should find Mosaic. If you don't find it in those first few options, go into the more section and you'll have more options. Okay, now, so let's open in Mosaic. So what that will do is it'll open the standalone version of Mosaic and then it'll say presets were imported. Use refresh if they don't show up in the preset window. Actually, in this new version of Mosaic, I don't see any refresh button. So maybe it's not needed anymore. Don't know. So now this is there in the standalone version. And then if you want, you can just close the standalone version. And go back to AUM. And just open an instance of Mosaic, and then open presets and look for the preset in the list. So what was this called? Midi note shifter. Let's see if it's there. There we go. Midi note shifter. I noticed one weird thing, by the way, about the way the user presets are listed. All the things that start with uppercase are listed first in alphabetical order, and then lowercase comes after that. I don't like that. I don't see why that's useful. As I just emailed Bram earlier, maybe it's just an oversight, or maybe there's a reason for it. I don't know. I would personally prefer just an alphabetical list, completely ignoring case. Okay, and then you just load that preset. So let me just load some random thing here. Dedupe. Dedupe prevents consecutive MIDI note on messages from occurring on the same note and channel. You know, this is one of those sort of weird scripts that might not be that useful for many people, but then you might be in a situation where you realize, oh my God, I really need something like this. You know, there are all sorts of little obscure scripts there that are very, very useful, actually. So yeah, that's it. And again, if you make any changes or whatever to the code, don't forget to press the upload button. You can also do things like renaming presets and stuff as well. So hopefully that's given you an idea of how useful Mosaic can be, how you don't need to know any code to use it, and where to go to download scripts, patch storage, and where to go to ask people nicely, and certainly be nice to donate if you end up using stuff a lot, to get people to see if they'll make a script for you. Over there on the Loopy Pro forum, formerly the Audiobus forum, and one of the most useful resources for anybody making music on iPad or iPhone. This thread in particular, request new Mosaic scripts here. Okay, $2, this is just an absolute no-brainer, but even at the full price of $5, like I said earlier, it is crazy good deal. Crazy good deal. So thank you to Bram for making it, and thanks a lot to all those lovely people sharing their Mosaic scripts. It's really great. Okay, everybody, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Take it easy.